Hello. Welcome to the Warframe Collective's first step guide for new players in Warframe. Now, if you've just installed the game, you'll be treated to a pretty cool cutscene. And seeing as I don't want to ruin the cutscene, go ahead and watch it, guys. And we're going to skip forward to the first important decision you'll be making immediately after the cutscene. Alright, guys, welcome to Warframe. Now, the first important decision you'll be making is what starting Warframe will you choose. First up, we have Excalibur, characterized as our melee Warframe. Excalibur's first ability is Slash and Dash. Slash and dash through enemies alongside your Radial Scepter. Excalibur's second ability is Radial Blind. Emit a bright flash of light, blinding all nearby enemies. Excalibur's third ability is Radial Javelin. Radial Javelin impales nearby enemies, inflicting a bleed status. Excalibur's fourth and final ability, and by far the crowd favorite, is Exalted Blade. Summon a blade of pure light and immense power. Our next Warframe is Mag, characterized as our magnetic Warframe, hence the name Mag. Mag's first ability is Pull. Mag stuns enemies as she manifests a magnetic vortex. Mag's second ability is Magnetize. Tap to enclose a target in a magnetic field that ensnares nearby enemies and deals damage over time. Hold to surround Mag with a magnetic field that absorbs ranged attacks and reflects damage back in a destructive cone. Mag's third ability is Polarize. Emit an energy pulse that depletes energy shields and armor as it restores ally shields. And Mag's fourth and final ability is Crush. Magnetize the bones of nearby enemies, causing them to collapse upon themselves. Last but most certainly not least, we have Volt. Volt is characterized as being our electric warframe, hence the name Volt. His first ability, Shock. Launch a voltaic projectile that stuns and damages its target. His second ability, Speed. Embody an electric current. Volt and his allies get a brief movement speed boost and a reload speed buff. His third ability, Electric Shield. Void deploys an electric shield that blocks projectiles. Shooting through this will also buff your damage, guys, and depending on how you mod him, it'll buff it by a lot. His fourth ability, Discharge. Volt discharges electricity that courses through him. So, one thing that I failed to mention, guys, is that each Warframe also have a passive ability. As for Excalibur, Excalibur's passive is when Excalibur is wielding a sword, Excalibur deals 10% increased damage and Excalibur attacks 10% faster. As for Mag, her passive is nearby items gravitate towards her for easy collection. And as for Volt, basically with Volt, running on the ground builds up a charge, and that charge is unleashed on your next attack to make it simple. Now, as for my starter, I am going to choose Excalibur because I actually have the least amount of time played with Excalibur. So go ahead and choose whatever starter you want, guys, and then we'll move on. So after you have selected your starter, guys, go ahead and move around a little bit, get a feel for the movement. Go ahead and use your first ability to take out the enemies displayed on the screen, and then make your way to the objective marker to make the next decision that will determine how you'll play the game for the next hour or two. So as you make your way to the objective marker on screen, you'll be prompted to make your next decision. What melee weapon will you choose? Do I choose the sword or the stick? The stick or the sword? Now, personally, guys, I chose the stick because I love melee range. But if I could go back, I would have chosen the sword for the simple fact that the stance mod that I ended up receiving for the stick was not so good. Now, you're probably wondering, what is a stance mod? Well, every melee weapon has a basic combo, but they also have stance mods that you can slot in. If you slot in a stance mod, it completely changes the playstyle of the weapon. So make sure when you get a stance mod, you immediately put it in your melee weapon. Now, your next big decision, what secondary weapon will I choose? Will you choose the kunai or will you choose the pistol? Now, me personally, I chose the kunai for the simple fact that I wanted to feel like a ninja. But it really doesn't matter what you choose, guys, because either way, you'll be able to obtain all of this later anyway. Now, whenever you get a chance, guys, I want you to go into your start menu, go in your options, scroll over to your video tab, and I want you to go down to your field of view, and I want you to crank that all the way to the max. That's probably the first thing I should have told you to do, but cranking your field of view all the way up, it just makes everything look 10 times better. You can see your whole Warframe this time, and it's just a lot better to have a wide field of view. Anyway, guys, once you reach this area, you'll be prompted to choose your primary weapon. Will you choose the assault rifle or will you choose the bow and arrow? Now, me personally, I chose the bow and arrow just to complete the ninja aesthetic. But remember, guys, it doesn't necessarily matter what you choose because either way, you'll be able to obtain all this stuff later anyway. And also, by the time you level this gear up to level 30, what you want to do is you want to immediately sell this gear and start leveling up new gear. So make sure you level your weapon all the way up into level 30. It's just a good practice to do before you start using new gear. But if you want to start using new gear, you can do that too, guys. So as you make your way to your ship, you'll be prompted to do a little bit of hacking. Hack this terminal right here, and this kind of serves as your first hacking tutorial. After you hack the terminal, you'll be prompted to defend the ship. This kind of serves as your first defense tutorial, so go ahead, guys, and defend your ship, and we'll catch up with you guys when we complete the mission. So after you complete the mission, guys, you'll wind up at this screen. This screen is your daily login screen, guys. Make sure you're logging in every day so you can collect the daily items that are offered because eventually some of these daily login bonuses get crazy good. Now, when you load into your ship, you're probably immediately hit with a barrage of text and it's probably shattering your immersion. Now, I'm going to show you how to disable the chat, but I don't recommend you disable the chat for the fact that the chat is an essential part of the game. But if you go over to your options and you scroll over to your social tab, we can disable all the chat tabs for the time being, and you can re-enable them at your own leisure. So as you're in your ship, guys, your primary objective at this point is to restore your ship comms. So head over to the objective marker indicated on your ship, and this is going to be your arsenal section. This is going to be where you customize your loadout and add mods to your weapons and your warframes. So after you do that, head over to navigation, which is at the front of your ship. This whole menu serves as your navigation to the solar system. As you can see, mostly everything is locked right now because you just started the game, but by the time we finish the first step series, you'll unlock all the planets on the star chart. For the time being, just head to Earth because that's where your primary objective is. And one thing to note, guys, that if you're ever having trouble navigating your quest, just open up this drop down menu in the corner of your screen and click on whatever your active quest is, and it should take you directly to your objective. Now, our first mission is a spy mission. Spy missions are pretty simple at first, but they get pretty hard later on. The basic premise of a spy mission is head to the objective area. When you get to the objective area, what you want to do is retrieve the data from a terminal. But if you trip the alarms, you will have a limited amount of time to retrieve the data. So when you are in the data collection location, make sure you avoid all the countermeasures so you don't trip any alarms. These spy missions start off pretty simple at first, but later on, they get extremely complicated. So, just like you see here, guys, just simply avoid all the lasers and the alarms won't trip. Now, those lasers right there are simple. Later on, you'll have crazy amounts of lasers to avoid. And sometimes when you reach the data room, you'll have countermeasures in the data room, such as an enemy to fight, or you'll have lasers in the data room. So always be cautious, guys. But early game, you don't really have to worry too much. After you retrieve the data, just head to extraction and we'll move on to the next part of the guide. On your way to extraction, if you see any Kubro nests, destroy them because these Kubro nests, they have a chance to give you a Kubro egg. And although you will receive a quest to get your own Kubro, which is basically your own dog, it's a good practice to have multiple Kubro eggs for the simple fact that there are multiple breeds of Kubro. So go ahead and head to extraction, guys, and we'll move on to the next part of the tutorial. Upon arriving back to your ship, go ahead and install the next segment you receive. Now this is your codex section. Your codex is used to give you information about the Warframe universe at large, but it primarily shows you what quests that you have available in the Warframe universe. Now, you will need to complete all of these quests at some point, and don't worry because a lot of these quests have really, really good rewards for the player. And to get these quests, you have to complete the necessary prerequisite for the quest. Now, most of the prerequisites just involve completing the junction on a specific planet, but for now, just head back to your navigation and bring down your quest menu and go ahead and head to your next quest. Now, one thing you're going to start to notice at a certain point is you're going to start encountering other players, and you can play solo, but I think it's a good practice to play with other players for the simple fact that in certain missions, like defense missions, the affinity pool is increased the more players you have. Now, this is a rescue mission. Rescue missions are pretty simple. Make your way over to the holding area and rescue the hostage. And try not to get detected while you're doing this because if you do get detected, you'll have a limited amount of time to rescue the hostage before they execute him. Now, when you are doing these rescue missions, you can be discreet or you can just run in and kill everything. Just remember when you're trying to get to the hostage, there are usually multiple ways that you can get to the objective area instead of just going through the front door. But once you do rescue the hostage, the best thing to do is always to head immediately to extraction because once you get into in-game stuff and you're doing rescue missions, the hostage can actually die and you will fail the mission. And there may be times where the hostage is bleeding out and you have no idea where the hostage is. So make sure you just run to extraction as quickly as possible. Okay, guys, so upon arriving back to your ship, one thing I like to do is I usually like to leave the squad if I just played with some random players for the simple fact that a lot of times I like to play at my own pace, and other players, they want to go do other missions when they have a party. But upon arriving back to your ship, go ahead and install the next segment that you had just received. This is going to be your modding section, right? This is where you're going to level up all your mods as well as level up your Ayatan treasures. So, as you can see, guys, These are the mods that we have accrued so far from doing missions. When you're ready to level up a mod, you click on that mod and you click on the fusion section and you level it up like so. Now, being able to level the mod all depends on the amount of endo that you have collected. Endo is basically a resource that is acquired in mission that allows you to level up your mods. And so, once you have leveled up your mods and accrued mods for your Warframe and weapons, this is where you'll equip them in your arsenal section. Now, one thing that's really important when equipping mods, we don't have a full build right now, so we're not going to do a full build video. But when you do get mods, make sure you put the mod in the correct polarity slot, because slotting the mod in the correct polarity slot will cut the mod's cost in half. As you can see, we are only level 2 right now, so we only have a capacity of 2 to spend. But when you are level 30, you will have a capacity of 30, and you can put mods in your Warframe up to the cost of 30 capacity. But one thing that's worth noting is a aura mod will increase that capacity, and even further than that is if you buy an Aroken reactor for your Warframe or an Aroken catalyst for your weapon, this will completely double your mod capacity, bringing a level 30 weapon up to 60 capacity. So that's just worth remembering, guys. But for now, don't even worry about that. Just head back to your navigation and click on your next active quest. So as you're in your next mission, just make your way to the location indicated on your map, and this is to retrieve your foundry segment. Your foundry is basically your workbench. So after you retrieve that, just make your way to extraction and we'll move on to the next part of the tutorial. So upon arriving back to your ship, guys, go ahead and head to the location indicated and install your foundry segment. Think of your foundry as your workbench where you'll be doing all of your crafting. One thing that is worth noting is almost everything in Warframe can be obtained for free as long as it's not cosmetics. It all depends on your ability to go out into the world, get the blueprint, and farm the resources needed to craft what you want. Now, most items in Warframe have a build time from 1 minute to 3 days, so keep that in mind. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to add a glyph to your Warframe. Now, if you press start and you click on profile, I want you to scroll down to glyph. Click on glyphs and you're going to see a bunch of glyphs that you have to pay for. But what I want you to do is I want you to sort by the glyphs that you already own. And as you can see, you'll have 4 free glyphs available. So choose any one of the 4 that you would like. And as you can see, now you're starting to look like a real Warframe player. So go ahead and head to your navigation and head to the next mission you have available for this quest. So this mission is basically a resource retrieval mission, right? Now, when you're retrieving these caches usually appear on sabotage missions. These caches usually don't have any resources valuable enough for you to go for them, but if you do decide to go for them, keep this in mind. When you get close to the caches, you can usually hear them emitting a ringing sound, right? And if you turn your music volume slightly down, you'll be able to find caches like there's no but tomorrow. So after you retrieve all 3 caches, go ahead and head to extraction and we'll start the next part of this tutorial. So upon arriving back to your ship, Vor is going to be talking a lot of crap. Ignore Vor, we're going to take him down eventually. What we've been trying to do this whole time is craft the Ascaris negator that is used to get this bomb or whatever it is off of your Warframe. I don't know actually what the hell it is that's attached to us, but whatever it is, it's a problem. So go ahead and craft your Ascaris Negator. This has a build time of 1 minute. And after you do that, we are going to go find Vor's location so we can take down Vor. So after you craft the Ascaris Negator, go ahead and take that crap off of your Warframe. And after you do that, head to your navigation. That way we can go obtain Vor's nav coordinates. Now, I don't even know what this mission would be classified as in Warframe, but just head to the location indicated and get Vor's nav coordinates and head to extraction and we'll proceed to take Vor down. So after you have obtained Vor's nav coordinates and you make it back to your ship, go ahead and install the nav coordinates in the navigation section, and this should give you access to the Vor boss fight. Now, don't worry about Vor, right? Vor's not too tough at all. Vor is kind of a pushover. Even if you have an unmodded weapon, you should be able to take Vor out pretty quick. Just keep shooting Vor in the face with your bow and arrow or your assault rifle, and Vor should go down fairly easily, guys. So don't even worry about the fight. Even if you die, just immediately respawn and keep shooting Vor in the face. And after you take Vor out, make your way to extraction, and bam, guys, you have completed the Warframe first step tutorial. Now, the final thing that I want you guys to do is I want you guys to head over to your arsenal section and I want you guys to click on appearance. And what I want you guys to do is with the free colors that you have available, I want you guys to put a color scheme on your Warframe. And after you do put the color scheme on your Warframe, I want you to apply that color scheme to all your weapons. Bam. There you go, guys. You're a real Warframe player now. So if you are a new player watching this, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate your viewership. Now you have completed the tutorial. Our next video on the Warframe first step guide is going to be on the Venus Junction, and it's going to be a much shorter video. Anyway, guys, if you made it this far, I greatly appreciate it. Now go out there and absolutely smash it. Peace.